Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of MGR Unplugged. This is Manuel Del Real, and I'm here with David Gill to have another chat about e-commerce. But before we get to that, one quick show note. If you haven't listened to this yet, last week's podcast actually was the interview with Greg Charbonneau, who's the Vice President and General Manager at the Odyssey Aquarium in Scottsdale, Arizona. It was a very interesting interview. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I really learned a lot of things about what happens behind the scenes as far as what it takes to manage and run an aquarium. Forget about the fact that this one is in the middle of the desert, but just basically running an aquarium in general, where you have like 30,000 living animals and fish of all kinds and everything on the premises, and they need to be taken care of 24/7. So listen to it. It was last week. You should find it right away on mgrunplugged.com. It's about an hour long, but you can skip forward to sections you like. But it'll definitely change the way you see aquariums in the future when you go visit them. But today's topic is actually a little completely different, actually. Today is Thursday, and we are a week away from Thanksgiving as we record this, and which means that Black Friday is also about a week away, and with that starts the big, heavy shopping and holiday season, which is one of the busiest times of the year for us as far as e-commerce and marketing and everything that we do for a large number of MGR clients. So that's why I have David with me, and he's actually very entrenched with a lot of campaigns as we speak. We had to pretty much pry him out of his office. He's finalizing a lot of campaigns and fine-tuning some of them. So, David, how things going for you?
Busy.
That's an understatement.
But the truth is, anybody who knows this time of year, Black Friday in the marketing world really starts like October 1st, as far as preparing for it. Because if you're just thinking about Black Friday now, and obviously I get it, a lot of people are new to Black Friday, new e-commerce sellers, and that's why we want to have this podcast to give insight. It's not too late, because you can always still get ready now, but you're not going to be as maximized and ready as real companies who, I mean, it really starts October 1st when you start. Well,
actually, I would say it starts almost after Labor Day weekend. Once the summer is over and all the summer offers are over.
Basically, back in September, we started talking to clients, okay, it's time to get ready because this is, I mean, we can get right into it. I mean, really, starting October 1st, you want to be for the full month of October, all the way through up to basically this week. Next week is when you start getting heavy into the deals. But basically from October 1st through November 20-ish is heavy prospecting, as in getting new people who have no idea who your brand is. If we're talking about, smaller brands, it's different if you're like a huge Nike. I mean,
something. the big heavy hitters, like the retail stores, like the Best Buys and the Targets and all that stuff. Those guys always have their advertising.
It's different, but I'm talking for the 99% of e-commerce who you have a brand, but it's not like you're a household name. You need to do heavy prospecting. And the thing that we do a lot of that I think not enough people do, more are doing it now because they realize the value, is just focusing heavily on email capture. Because I think something that people don't know is actually for a lot of e-com companies these days in the holiday season, nearly half of their revenue will actually come through email marketing.
Oh, yeah. We've always said that email, as far as return on investment or dollar for dollar return, is the most cost-effective form of advertising. That's why capturing leads is so critical.
And that's why basically our strategy really for most of our larger clients is for the whole month of October and basically the weeks leading up to Black Friday, the focus needs to be both prospecting and heavy email capture, doing whatever you can, whatever incentives you can give to try to get those emails. Because once you get that email, that's like your golden ticket.
It's true. And actually, it's funny because I find myself these days reading and opening more emails from companies that I deal with than I do normally the rest of the year. For example, I mean, obviously I'm a consumer just like everybody else, and I consume a lot of products in the automotive industry. I'm a big, obviously race fan, all that stuff, and then fitness and sports and nutrition, all that stuff. Normally, I don't really care much about email marketing when I receive the emails. I take a quick look, but it's just, nothing that I'm really interested in. But these days, I'm already obviously receiving a lot of emails for offers that are coming up Black Friday or advertising for the holidays, and I'm actually seeing myself opening them and just trying to find out, okay, there's actually true offers. I mean, things that I've seen year round at a certain price, now they're like 45% off on things like that. And that really is appealing. And that tells you the power of email. People will open. The open rates, I guarantee, go high, like almost double at this time of the year compared to any other time.
It depends. You had the email marketing strategy, and it totally depends on your company, your product, everything. It needs to be very fine-tuned because keep in mind, everybody is spamming people with emails these days.
Yeah, but I'm talking about retargeting existing customers when I'm talking about email marketing in this case. Basically, it's
no, but I'm saying
going to your database of customers or previous customers and then telling them about offers that are actually compelling.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you are not the only company that they buy from.
Sure.
And that you can go look at your inbox right now, and I guarantee everybody over this next week will get 4 times as many emails from companies as they do at any other time of the year. So you have to be very strategic in how you go about your email marketing, because when people are getting 100 advertising emails into their inbox a day, they're not going to open them all. And I actually think this is against my philosophy 362 days a year, except for this coming Black Friday. I guess basically 51 weeks a year, my philosophy is be a little more sparing on emails, try to just provide the maximum value and not always sell in your emails. Like with us, with our own, obviously it's different because we're B2B. We do almost no selling in our emails. We only send pretty much newsletters, insights, things like that.
Our emails are more on the branding side.
But I think it's the same with consumer. Now, with consumer, you want to be a little more selling, but be sparing. Don't spam people, because the worst thing you want is someone to unsubscribe, because then you can never email them again. Or to get so many emails that they just kind of don't open your emails anymore because they get tired of it. So you want to be sparing. But this week, don't hold back. I mean, I've talked to companies who are planning to send, I kid you not, 4 emails a day every day from Thanksgiving through Monday.
But don't you think that, the number and volume obviously will be increasing, and then, like you said, it's a little bit of an exception to the rule as far as what you normally want to practice throughout the year. But I also see that there is much more segmentation with this email marketing as far as who you send it to, the types of lists.
Of course.
The kind of message for each particular customer that was interested in this product or that product. It's not like a shotgun approach. It's a little more of a
Again, and this
sniper.
is why I said it depends on what you sell. If you sell something that is like a recurring purchase for people, then people who have bought your product, say 3 times already, you want to send them a different email than someone who's only bought it once, or someone who's on your list but has never bought from you. You want to send different emails.
Exactly.
Now, that's for like recurring purchase products. Obviously, a lot of people sell something that you don't sell recurring purchase. You only sell one. Or maybe you can have, and this gets into, it's too late for this now, but this is when you need to prepare. Like if you sell something that's your, what I call the Big Mac strategy. You have your Big Mac. That's your primary product that gets most people in the door. How does McDonald's make money? They sell you the Big Mac for $1, but then they sell you the fries, the shake, the soda, and that's their high margin. A lot of e-com companies have their pillar product, and then they have a lot of ancillary products. And maybe they don't make a lot of money on the pillar, but they make a lot of money in the add-ons.
Correct.
And so you want to have lots of good add-on products that someone who buys your pillar product would very likely be interested in this product. And so now, again, it's too late now. If you don't have those products ready, you can't source them now. But these are things, especially if you're new and you say, hey, I'm probably going to miss out on this Black Friday this year because I'm new. I don't have a ton of experience. These are things you want to keep in mind for next year when you're preparing for Black Friday, because this is, if you do it right, there's a reason they call it Black Friday. you will do half of your annual revenues in these next 2 months, or these basically November, December, and not even November, December, because really it's kind of the last 6 weeks of the year.
Right.
You can do almost half of your annual revenues.
Right, and you and I were talking before that you hear obviously Black Friday, which is traditionally for retail stores, and then expanded into Cyber Monday, which is obviously the more online retail purchases. But in reality, is obviously it goes beyond that. I mean, it goes all the way through New Year's. And
right,
so
you have
like
Cyber
4 or 5 weeks before the end of the year that you can have.
You have Cyber
offers.
Monday, and now it's not as big, but a lot of people do it like what they call Cyber Week, which is basically the whole week after Black Friday, starting Monday through Friday, and then after that you have basically all types of holiday deals. You have last shipping date, which is saying if you want this by Christmas, normally that's somewhere around the 17th, 18th, 19th, roughly around there, saying, December 18th or last shipping date. So you have, marketers will come with any excuse or way to say, hey, you really need to buy a lot of stuff today. And that's why this time of year, again, that's why it's hard if you're saying, oh, shoot, I haven't thought about, maybe you have a Black Friday ready, but a lot of people think only about Black Friday, Cyber Monday this weekend, but they don't think about the rest of the following weeks, the last shipping date, because those are all big too. In fact, I saw a stat from Facebook that said that the last shipping date sales actually has like nearly 2/3 as many sales as Black Friday itself. So that's a huge day that a lot of people don't think about.
Well, that's because people are on the fence and then they finally decide what to buy. And it also depends a lot on how the holidays are each year. And I think this year, Christmas Day is a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I forgot. And I think it's Wednesday. Christmas Day, the 25th is a Wednesday, which means that you have like a weekend obviously before for shipping and things like that. So it definitely becomes a factor. So let me ask you something. I mean, as much as companies try to be, let's just pretend that a company is totally prepared, they have the campaign ready and everything is ready to go for this biggest sales time of the year. How does a company that is small business prepare for inventory? I mean, how do they know how much inventory they need to get so they don't have too much or too little? I mean, one of the worst mistakes you can have, and especially in the e-commerce arena, whether you manage your own store or you have Amazon stores or any other type of third-party retailer store, is running out of inventory when people are demanding it.
There's two big things that new people to e-commerce, and not even just new, people who are experienced, but maybe like, say you've been doing e-com for a couple years now, but you've never had the types of budgets that you have this year. Like maybe you're used to spending 10 grand over the weekend advertising, and this year you're doing well, and you're like, we're going to spend 50 grand plus this weekend or more, right, on advertising. The thing that people do not think about that is very necessary is two things. What you just said, the inventory. That's very hard to predict and very hard to account for. And then two is the customer service. Because if all of a sudden, if you're used to having, say, 50 purchases a day, and you have the customer service staff, maybe you have a virtual assistant, 2 virtual assistants, something like that, to handle 50 purchases a day, and okay, only about 1 in 20 is really going to have an issue, whatever. Well, if all of a sudden you go from 50 purchases a day to 500 a day for 4 days, and you have 2,000 purchases or more, obviously it depends on the price range of your product. You could have 10,000 purchases over the weekend, and you still are as if you're getting 50 a day.
Right.
And then you have, and especially this time of year, people have many more customer service inquiries than normal.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden you have 1,000 customers contacting you, and you have 2 virtual
one of the
assistants.
biggest things is also fulfillment. I mean,
it's
all the shippers obviously double their workforce as far as, I mean, you see UPS, FedEx, and all these shipping companies. They actually rent U-Haul trucks and everything just to deliver things, and then you realize that smaller companies are not ready for that. They start having issues actually fulfilling the orders, and then you get the typical, where is my package? Where is my product?
This is where temp agencies come into play. Basically, if you are expecting a ton of sales, I would definitely go to either a temp agency or go to like Upwork or any of these freelance sites and try to find customer service people. And the fulfillment is different. It totally depends on how you do your fulfillment. Do you outsource it? If you outsource it to a third-party fulfiller, hopefully you have a good one. They should be able to handle all of that. If you're doing it yourself, you'll probably need to hire some extra hands. But yes, these are things that people, they have this amazing marketing and it really works and they sell way more than they ever possibly imagined. And then all of a sudden they have 1,000 emails from customers and they're like, oh, I have no idea what to do. And that hurts your brand too. Customers, they don't like to have issues, especially this time of year.
It's the customer experience, obviously. If you fail to your customer, is really, they say that you're only as good as your last product, service, or experience overall, and that is true. You fail to your customer at a time like Christmas and the product or the package is not on time.
And remember, you're going to get returns too.
Right.
So if you're
exactly.
If you're used to getting a couple returns a day or something, and all of a sudden, you just multiply that, and now all of a sudden you have like 500 returns to process. You need to be ready for that. People are going to want their money back right away. People don't like waiting and having to ask twice for their money back. Right. So these are things that people don't think about. Now, obviously, we're on the marketing side. We're a marketing agency. So I'm not an expert in supply chain management, managing a customer service force as far as that goes. But I can say that in our experience and from what I've seen, it's definitely something you need to plan for and anticipate ahead of time. And it's the biggest mistake that people make this time of year. They focus so much on the marketing, and it's fair. Like, it's hard when you're selling 50 units a day or something like that. It's hard for you to imagine, oh my God, I could sell 5,000 units instead of 50. And it's hard for you to imagine, and it's great that you do that, but you need to be prepared for the fulfillment side of that.
So let me change over to the since we are in the digital marketing arena, about the specific marketing that we do these days for most of our clients, whether it be through Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, or even Amazon within their own marketing options. One of the things I was just reading actually like half an hour ago, just before recording the podcast, how much more expensive marketing or digital marketing has become over the last 12 months, really. It's been increasing year over year, but what I call the digital marketing inflation is really making the cost per click or the cost for advertising like 20%. This is not like 10%. It's like really much more expensive now to get your CPM or your cost per click what it was before. And what is happening now is that we have a lot of clients that say, oh, well, last year we allocated X amount of our budget to advertising, and then we had X results, and we compare year over year, and then they expect the same amount of money to generate the same or even better results this year. And that actually is far from the truth, just because of the fact that money that last year was purchasing X amount of ad space and advertising and cost per clicks and impressions and so forth, this year is just not enough. This year, basically, you're going to get 20% less, which translates all the way across the board. And
especially these coming weeks, I've told everybody, I said, prepare and completely anticipate your cost per click to double these next few weeks.
Yeah, it's a supply and demand thing.
If you're used to paying $1 a click, expect it to be $2. Hopefully, maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll be $1.50. But prepare your budget and be ready for whatever you're used to paying CPM or cost per click. Double it, and that's what you should expect.
And the amazing thing is that we actually have a few clients that, they say something like, this is a true case. They say, well, we'd like to advertise this particular offer and this and that, and then but we don't really have additional budget, so let's stop the other campaigns that we were running before and just put the money into this campaign. And it's like, first of all, stopping any campaign that you're running is like the worst thing you can do, because you lose all momentum and learning phases and everything else that go with those campaigns that were working well for 11 months, and now you're going to stop them for no particular reason. Secondly, the fact that you didn't allocate additional budget for these special offers that you have for the last month of the year, that's already mistake number one. Secondly, you think that even that budget that was already okay for 11 months of the year is going to work equally fine for a brand new campaign that you're launching 2 days before Black Friday, and you think that it's going to give you the results. It's just totally unrealistic and actually clueless, to be honest, the fact that they think that is going to happen. But there's such an educational
most of our
process.
Clients are not like that, but
I understand.
I think that they just don't understand. I think that just comes from a lack of experience of understanding exactly what's possible this week, these coming weeks, and not understand. the real clients, that we have say, okay, whatever our monthly budget is, I mean, they literally will 10x it for this month. And that's what you need to do. If you're spending, I mean, we have clients that are not huge spenders. They're not big businesses. Like one thing is if you have a big business that's spending, $100,000 a month in ads, for them, they have more space. But I'm talking smaller businesses who are used to spending $100 a day. And they're saying, okay, let's go $1,000, $2,000 a day. That's a 10, 20x increase. And that's a lot for a small business, but they're willing to do it because they understand the upside of it. And if you don't understand that upside, you're never going to win in this space. It is so competitive now. It's not like how it was, 5 years ago.
Well,
People
no,
think that you
yeah.
can just go in and make money. No, you need to be a killer in this space.
And the other thing is that they also don't have this long-term vision as far as understanding the customer lifetime value and other factors that come in when you spend that kind of money. Your initial customer acquisition cost or cost per sale is going to be higher, but you also expect that the customer will be either a recurring customer, depending on the type of product that you're selling, or it'll be a customer that comes and stays with you, buys from you, or does business with you on a regular basis, whether it's once a year, twice a year, which is when you get really your return on investment.
And that's the long-term vision too, because one thing that a lot of people, especially if you're new, you only have a 1 or 2 product store or something like that. And you have these products and they sell well, but you say, well, I'm only going to sell to them once. So I can only afford to basically spend this certain amount. I need to hit this ROAS number. And I understand that. But the long-term vision comes when you say, okay, well, I'm building a brand here. And I only have 2 products right now. But I know that I have these 5 other products that I would like to launch soon, but I need more money to do that. I need to build the business first. Because those 5 products, the people who buy these 2 would definitely be interested in those 5. And that's when you have to have the vision as a founder to say, this is what we're selling now. But 2 years from now, instead of 2 products, we're going to have 10. And all of those customers who bought from us with 2, now they're acquired. They've already bought from you. Hopefully they had a good experience. They're on your email list. You send them good emails, all those things. So when you launch those new products, they say, oh, they're first in line. Like Apple only has one, they have more than one product. But let's say on the phone side, they have an iPhone. That's it. But they know that they need to give this good experience. And once they acquire an iPhone customer, they're going to sell them iPhones and iPads and Apple Watches to infinity. And you need to think big like that as a small business.
Subscriptions, iTunes, they're in the Apple ecosystem.
And that's the difference in customers that we see succeed versus don't, is the ones who have that longer term vision to say, okay, I'm only selling these couple of products right now, but I know that these products I could sell as well. And if I have a customer base of, like for you, like let's say you're into automotive, right? I sell this certain automotive tool right now, and this is the only thing I sell. But I know that there's these 5 other tools that I could sell as well. And if I can just acquire you as a customer, you are very likely to buy from me again when I launch these. And my customer acquisition cost goes way down. And my lifetime value of a customer goes way up. These are the things that you need to be thinking about that I think a lot of newcomers don't.
And the other part of the critical part of the equation that we also emphasize to our customers is that you're only as, I mean, it's a cliche line, but you're only as good as your weakest link. And what happens a lot of times with smaller businesses is that their e-commerce store, payment gateway, you name it, shipping, whatever, is just not completely working in a seamless way, in a frictionless process. And they have a lot of issues with people ordering something and then they go to checkout, the server is too slow, the website doesn't work, or it's not responsive, they cannot see it. This time of the year, if your website is not working properly and it's not taking customer from A to B to C, from seeing the product, ordering the product, and checking out in like seconds, you are losing the game there.
We in our Friday digest that we send out every week, I actually added in a chart that was really interesting. This was about maybe a month ago, but it was basically a study of conversion rate based on page load times. And the difference between a 3-second and a 4-second was literally a double conversion rate. You will get, if your page loads in 3 seconds versus 4 seconds, your conversion rate will be double. That is massive.
But
and these
not
are
only
things that people
not
don't
only
think about.
the loading time, which could be server based or could be also provider service
server
provider.
based, and it's also what you have on the page. A lot of people
Right.
clutter their pages.
Exactly. You need to have a one-click checkout, buy now. I mean, really, when you go to Amazon, they have everything down to science, and you can be with your own store as close as possible to the way Amazon works, with buy now, one click, or order this, and then people who order this also bought this thing, and then your credit cards are already in place, your address is in place. They make it seamless. I mean, I'm on my phone in Amazon, and I find something, I say, oh shoot, I forgot to buy this, I need to buy tomorrow. I go on my phone. I don't care if I'm on my phone or a desktop computer. It's totally seamless. It's 1, 2, 3. I'm out and paid.
Yeah. The easiest way to figure out what should I do is go to Amazon, go to Nike.com, go to major e-commerce
Retailers.
players.
That's why they
see what they do. Because what
Exactly.
they do probably works. Because
because they
tested
invested
everything.
heavily into that stuff, and they say, okay, we got killed by Amazon and the small retailer. No, they actually get it. Amazon started just as small as any other retailer started, with a little operation selling books, and now they are who they are because they had a vision, and a lot of retailers or small businesses put all this money, and they finally get their budget ready for advertising, and then they neglect, like we discussed before, the fulfillment or the customer service, but also their server, their website. They think their website that was normally handling maybe 100 visitors a day or 200, now it's going to get like 2,000. They are ordering, and they have the payment gateway, they have this and that, and they all get bottlenecked over there, and things just don't work that way. So that is one of the things that is the most frustrating, the cart abandonment. Which usually is a big issue for losses in sales during the holiday season, becomes a huge factor, because if you are just waiting for your checkout, or they ask you for this and that, or all kinds of information, and then you cannot just check out fast, you're just going to go to a next retailer, to a next option.
One thing that has been on the rise, and I've personally been using a lot, that is, I would recommend people try to add to their site if they don't already have it, is check out with Apple Pay. Because a lot of people are going to be coming through mobile ads on iPhones. And when I check out, my preferred way now is actually with Apple Pay. And it makes me much happier because I don't want to type in my credit card. Even PayPal sometimes is annoying because I'm logged out for whatever reason. I got to sign in. With Apple Pay, you literally click the button, it checks your Face ID, and you pay right there.
Basically, like to do with the apps,
and
when you go to the app store.
Exactly. And it's growing really fast. I mean, I think checkout with Apple Pay will be one of the largest within the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have it on your site, I would definitely add that.
But obviously, that is just an Apple. It's just with iPhones.
It's just with iPhones. But obviously, a lot of people have iPhones.
Okay.
And a lot of people, when you advertise on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, you're going to be mostly mobile. And so if you have that checkout with Apple Pay, your conversion rate will be higher than if you don't.
Does Google have something similar?
Google has Google Pay. Amazon has Amazon Pay. I don't like Amazon Pay that much. I think it's a little clunky. PayPal is probably the next best, but PayPal even has its issues sometimes too. If you're selling, if you have PayPal checkout on your page, definitely notify PayPal ahead of time to expect higher volumes than normal. Because what I've seen happen is that people have checkout with PayPal, and then PayPal all of a sudden starts seeing, instead of $2,000 a day,
typical volume, right?
$30,000 a day, and they will shut your account, and you can't take PayPal payments. So notify them ahead of time, like right now. If you're listening to this and you haven't done it, do it right now, so that they're ready. Because it's just like a credit card.
Yeah, it's basically an algorithm. Yeah,
right.
It's the same thing as when you travel. You travel usually. Most of the times you need to notify your credit cards that you're going to be traveling.
The last thing you want on Black Friday is for someone to be trying to pay you and they can't.
Yeah, I mean, frustration is the number one reason why people leave without purchasing, and that's like the worst result that you can get. When you spend the money, they did the job, people clicked on the ad, they went to your website, they actually purchased something, they go to checkout and they can't, or it's inconvenient, or they just basically get stuck there, and then all the money spent for nothing, because then you're giving the credit to, or the revenue to somebody else, just because at that point the customer is already ready to buy. They want to buy, they have the mindset into that, and then they can't buy from you, and they're going to buy from somebody else that actually did nothing. So that's the most frustrating part.
One last thing I wanted to say before we end this, as far as something you can still do right now that even if you've been prepared or not prepared for Black Friday, is have a multitude of offers, because a lot of times you don't know what people are going to be more interested in or not, because with some products, just a simple 30% off works great. In other products, maybe free shipping site-wide. In other ones, buy our pillar product and get this add-on free. Like, try lots of things. Have at least 5 different types of offers available on your site and for your ads, because you don't know what's going to work. And then once you see 1 or 2 start working really well, just pour gasoline on that fire.
Which is another reason why you should have a little more flexible budget, because normally you have 1 or 2 offers that you juggle for your key products, and then now you're going to need to play with different ad groups, ad sets, depending on who you are dealing with, different variations of the ads. So basically you have more places you're juggling and seeing which one is giving you the best revenues, and then you're doing a little more testing, then you're putting more money into those that are responding better. So all that stuff is going to take a little more budget, obviously, in addition to the fact that the cost, as we mentioned before, the cost per click and acquisition impressions and so forth is much higher at this time of the year. So, but when things are done right, the truth is that at the end of the day, we as an agency and everybody, whether you are the seller, the buyer, the vendor, the client, or the customer, you need to look at your return on investment or on ad spend. And the bottom line is that if you spend $1,000, you want to get 3, 4, 5 to 1 ROI minimum.
Well, it depends on your budgets.
It depends on the budget.
If you're
exactly.
At $1,000, you can get that. If you're spending, $50,000, it's gonna be hard to get a 4.
It is different. Obviously, it depends on the product, depends on your profit margins. But you do your numbers, you work with your agency, and you determine what ROI works for you, and then that's your target, and that's what you need to get. So it really is irrelevant where you spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. You say, okay, at this level, this is the ROI that works for me, and into that I also factor the fact that I'm going to get repeated sales from the same customer, which hopefully will come without spending money, because now they are my customer. I own the customer. I can target them, as we said, via email marketing and other methods that are not going to be that expensive. And then I could try to use the money for new customer acquisition versus existing customers.
This is the time of year that it's not just that you're going to get a lot of revenue. This is the time of year where you're able to acquire the most new customers. You can acquire a ton of customers, and then next year you you can easily, for an up-and-coming company, double or triple your active customer base this time of year. So the next year, starting in January, your customer base is 3x what it was in October. And that's the advantage, because now you have those customers, and as long as you don't screw up, you basically have those customers for years to come.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, David, before we wrap it up for today, any particular trends you've seen with especially the 2 heavy hitters, actually 3, like Facebook, Google, and Amazon, as far as advertising? Any new types of ads or anything, any do's and don'ts that have changed radically in the last few weeks from things that we were using before?
On Facebook, I would just say, I think you can never have enough creatives. So I think a lot of people have because even it used to be you have 4, and you're like, oh, that's good. Even now people think, oh, I have 10, 15. Obviously depends on your budget, but when you start getting at bigger budgets, you need to have 50 plus variations of ads. And that means changing the copy, changing the call to action button, obviously changing the images. Test everything, because don't assume. I used to make this mistake too. I would not run ads because I think, oh, that's not going to work well. And don't assume, don't try to predict whether an ad works or not, because even if you don't necessarily like it, it might be a winner. And so don't assume, don't strike ads down without testing them. Just test it. And if you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to test an ad, whatever your purchase value is, if you're selling something for, let's say $30, if you spend $50 on that ad and you're not getting a good return, 50, 60, then you can cut it off. You don't need to spend that much to figure if an ad's working. So on Facebook, more creatives, more creatives. Another kind of insider tactic. People are way too stingy with their lookalike audiences. They only like to do the 1%, the 2%, and I get it. Those are, on average, higher value. But the problem is when you do a 1%, you're going to run through that audience really quickly. And and Facebook algorithm is really good at going for the lowest hanging fruit. So you're just taking the lowest hanging fruit, and then you're basically killing yourself in the long run. You need to have ads for the 6 and 7%, even though they're not going to be as high of an ROI in the short term. If you just do a 1%, you're just taking the lowest hanging fruit, and you're killing yourself.
And you can you're also fighting for this low hanging fruit as any other competitor that you have, whereas trying to go up into the, like you said, the 5, 6, 7%. So
as far as the other ones, Amazon, sponsored brand ads were a nice little arbitrage previously, because you had the search ads, and then which are the regular just pay to have your listing up there, and then you have the sponsored brand, which lets you actually have 3 products showing. They're so expensive now. I mean, keywords that, to give you an example, one client that were trying to scale their campaign, and one way we were doing it was with sponsored brand, but to compare, basically a keyword that say costs them $2 for a listing, for the regular sponsored ads, for a sponsored brand is costing like $6-7 a click. I mean, it's like 3x.
Is it just now, or that's just overall?
Over the past couple of months, I've just seen this.
Okay, so it's not so much related to this time of the year.
It's just, yeah. So that arbitrage is kind of going away. So when I think that they're now over expensive, so I just would set bid caps. If you can get it with a $3 click, do it. But if it's like a 6, obviously I'm saying, like, if it's like triple listing cost, I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's worth it. If it's like 1.5 times, it's worth it, but a triple is just not worth it. So just set bid caps. And then Amazon, the biggest thing that I think Amazon people don't do is run ads outside of Amazon to Amazon.
To drive people to Amazon.
Yeah,
right.
That's how you can scale.
Right. That's the cross marketing or cross channel marketing that we like to promote. I mean, there's you can run ads on other places, even Facebooks and Googles and all that stuff, and drive the traffic to your Amazon stores, which is sometimes much more economical than be within
and
the Amazon.
And that's going to help
ecosystem.
your organic rankings too, which people don't realize.
Content marketing is another huge topic that we'll probably address in a different podcast. But people think that it's all paid, and they almost start ignoring a little bit of the content marketing, which actually is the way marketing started, and it still works very well as far as ROI. But one more thing with Amazon, how about video advertising or video clips on Amazon? We talked about Amazon Live a while ago, and I'm seeing a little more of video inserts that appear for certain products. Is that still...
Yeah, on the search page. Yeah, those are available, but you need to be one of their like sponsored, their advertising partners, which is a $35,000 a month commitment.
Okay.
So if you have that budget, go for it. They're great. It means you can have a video in the search listing, but obviously a lot of people can't do that because they don't have the budget for that. But if you have $35,000 a month for Amazon, it's definitely a good option to do the videos.
So those videos as advertising products or options are only available for the large advertisers or budgets, but not for the average company.
Anybody who has the money, it doesn't have to be a major brand, but if you have the money to do it. And then it doesn't mean you're just spending on those video ads. It just means that you're spending $35,000 a month advertising on Amazon. That's basically the criteria.
Right.
You can still have listing videos on your listing.
Right.
That you just
Your
need to be
video.
a registered brand. That doesn't cost any money. But if you want to have a video in the search results, then you need to pay big money for that.
Okay. All right, very good. Well, this is a good recap. Again, thank you for listening. If you have any need or assistance, or you want to take advantage of our free half-hour consultation that we do for our clients or prospective clients, feel free to reach us at mgragency.com. We have lots of forms and different options there for everybody, so you can just fill out the form, we'll get it, and we'll contact you right away.
And if you want free insights, it's absolutely free. We have a weekly email that goes out about specifically for Amazon and e-commerce. Basically, if you're selling on Shopify or Amazon, I definitely recommend that you subscribe to this. It's free. If you don't like it, just unsubscribe. We don't do any like selling in it. We're not offering our services, nothing. It's literally just insights, and it has a really, really good open rate. It's in the 40+%. People obviously like it. I don't think we've had someone unsubscribe from it in over a month, which is just amazing. Right. Obviously, we don't have tens of thousands of people subscribe to it, but
it's very niche. But people actually look forward to it.
Yeah, we get a lot of good feedback. Give it a shot. If you don't like it, you can just unsubscribe.
Where can people subscribe to that?
We'll have a link to it in the show notes.
Okay. All right, we'll add it then. All right, very good. Well, thanks, David, for joining us. Next week, we'll have another podcast. It'll be probably Thanksgiving, speaking of Cyber Monday and Black Friday. It'll be somewhere around those days. I don't know exactly what our schedule is. We're going to be pretty much 24/7 during the entire weekend, but we'll try to have some kind of podcast presence, whether it's on the Unplugged or obviously the Amazon e-commerce podcast. So until then, everybody have a good weekend and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.